and it was diabetic shock. So lots of crazy things happen in this world. But I had a good time, great memories of a lifetime at the Trump inauguration. I was at the Trump swearing in where he took the oath of office. I could always say I was there when that happened, and with great seats right up front. I was at the Liberty Ball that night, the hardest ticket in town to get. And I was there when the president and Mrs. Trump, Melania, took their first dance as president and first lady of the United States. Can always say that for the rest of my life. Pretty cool. Managed to spend some time with Newt Gingrich and John Voight, Angelina's dad, Angelina Jolie's dad. That's how he's known nowadays, but he's a famous actor in his own right. But he'll always be known as Angelina's dad because he raised a daughter who's a superstar. Alex Jones, the radio talk show host, spent some time with him. Roger Stone, who was poisoned recently, he says, by Russia, agents from Russia. It was up and alive after being weeks in a hospital, up and alive in a dinner right next to me at the Palm in Washington, D.C. Laura Ingraham, spent some time with Laura. Matter of fact, spent about 30 minutes on her radio show nationwide on Friday morning, which maybe it was Thursday morning. Either Thursday morning or Friday morning, one of those two, which is very cool. I think it was Thursday morning. Yeah, Friday was the inauguration. What am I saying? I was there at the inauguration from 6 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon. So Thursday morning, I was with Laura Ingraham on her morning show nationwide, a competitor of ours here. And she's a very nice lady, and we had a great 30 minutes on the show and talked about the inauguration, talked about Trump, talked about the crazy people on the left, unhinged left. I love Laura. She's great. And then the next night, went to an after party after the Liberty Ball. And after the after party, in the after party was Laura Ingraham again. So I managed to meet her twice in 2 days and spend some time with her. Actually, I've met her before, so I managed to see her again twice in 2 days and spend some quality time with her. And she is a good, solid lady and a great talk show host. So thank you, Laura, for having me on the show. It is appreciated. All right. This show is War Now. I'm Wayne Allyn Root, otherwise known as War. I'm your middle-class warrior, relentless freedom fighter, capitalist evangelist, conservative rock star, and all-around badass. What's this war good for? I'm a warrior for God, guns, gold, tax cuts, term limits, and Trump. That's how we save America, capitalism, and American exceptionalism. My books, The Power of Relentless and Angry White Male, my website, rootforamerica.com, all my opinions on video at rootforamerica.com. Go there and register for free now. You can hear us in so many different ways. First of all, you go to my website, you get all my commentaries. Second of all, you can listen online at 790 Talk Now. Just click on the top right, and my show is on, so you can listen on your desktop, your iPhone, wherever. Listen online at 790 Talk Now. You can listen to entire 3-hour blocks of this show that you missed. Every show is now being put up at my YouTube channel, War Now Radio. War Now Radio. And this show is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com, the gold standard, the #1 precious metals company in America. Contact Swiss America at SwissAmerica.com or go or call them at 800-BUY-COIN, 800-BUY, B-U-Y, COIN, C-O-I-N. And normally is where I say it's time for the world-famous Root Rant, but I gave you my Root Rant. I gave you my sum-up of what happened in Washington, D.C. Now it's time for an ad break. We'll have a guest after this talking about School Choice Week and how we could make it better in Nevada by passing the vouchers for the kids of this state. And I'll give you the real Root Rant in the 4 and the 5 o'clock hour because I got lots to rant about. The good stuff was happy at having been at the inauguration, proud and honored to have been invited as a guest of Donald Trump, as a member of the friends and family list of Donald Trump. But the bad is so many bad things going on in this country. Donald Trump's riding to the rescue. He's already come through on day one, and we'll talk about it throughout the rest of the show. He's already done some amazing things on day one. Wayne Allyn Root, War Now. All right, Wayne Allyn Root's War Now. The news today is I'm back home for the inauguration and here with you for the next couple weeks. I'm here every single day, and so I'm back at home with the people I love, my fans, here at 790 Talk Now and in Palm Springs, 98.1 FM, and soon to be syndicated all over the country. We'll have that announcement for you soon. In the meantime, before we get to our guest, we have a caller on the line who I met at the Baltimore airport on my way home from Washington, D.C. What a great guy. I met his whole family, his wife and his daughters. His name is John. Hey, John, you're on with War. How are you?
Hey, War, how you doing?
I'm doing great. You and I met at the airport in Baltimore. You said you'd call in. You're a man of your word.
Yes.
You did. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I hope you're doing better being in traffic.
I beat the traffic. It's okay. I took the side roads and I got to the
Good.
show 4 minutes late, but we ran a few ads and I'm here. I'm here and I'm alive and well.
Yeah,
So all's well.
I started getting worrying when I was hearing 4 commercials in a row and ending up with the prostrate commercial, you know?
No prostate problems here. Everything's fine.
Good deal.
Plumbing's good. So I met you and your family at the Baltimore airport. You had your lovely wife with you and your 2 beautiful daughters, and you had just come from the Trump inauguration. I told you to call in on Monday. I said I'd be back in the saddle again, and I just wanted everybody to know what wonderful people support Donald Trump. You are a true gentleman and salt of the earth and wonderful family. How did you guys like the inauguration?
Thank you. Oh, it was a great experience. I'm so thankful. I was born in D.C., worked in D.C. Till I was 40, till I moved to Florida. So I love it. It was great to go out there and support Trump. And, the day turned out to be great. Very little rain. Of course, it rained as soon as he started his speech, which was very symbolic. But great
but just
experience
drizzle.
for the kids.
Just drizzle. No big deal. Nothing you and I can't handle.
A little drizzle.
Nothing tough guys like us can't handle. It wasn't a big deal. But
Exactly.
give me your sum up. The next day, you and I were leaving right while the protest march was going on. Have you heard some of those words said by Madonna and Ashley Judd? Any of that?
Oh, yes.
What are your thoughts on their
Oh,
comments?
yes. Oh, disgusting. Madonna's backpedaling now because obviously she's afraid the Secret Service is going to investigate her. Ashley Judd, very convenient to quote, a 19-year-old who sent her a letter. What do you expect? What do you expect?
But urging women to be nasty.
It didn't change.
Wants to be nasty.
Yes.
Wants all women to be nasty. Wants to be as nasty
Right.
as the bloodstains on their bed. I mean, what a disgusting thing to say. I mean, it's absolutely
Disgusting.
putrid. And that's the left. They're just vicious people with no morals of any kind. Ashley Judd's in a bad mood because I haven't seen her in a movie in about 5 years. Her career is over.
Exactly.
Once you get, by the way, I wonder how she responds to the fact that once you're over the age of 40, no one in Hollywood wants you anymore. All those people in Hollywood that are such chauvinists and sexist that don't want any women over 40 to ever be in their movies ever again, they're all called liberal Democrats. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
It's not
I really
us.
love their hats, didn't you? The symbolism of their hats, really creative.
Classy. They're classy people. They're very classy, these liberals. And by the way, I would also mention I saw photos of the parade route after they all left, and they left it filled with garbage. Everywhere I looked was a mess of garbage, and I know that when we left the Trump inauguration, I brought a bag of food and water, and I brought it all with me and left. There wasn't a speck on the ground when I left from me or anybody else because we are all good, salt of the earth, respectable, middle class, and above people. And the people in those marches are just pigs. They really are. They're just pigs. They talk all day long about global warming and the environment. Then they leave their garbage and their signs on the ground.
Yes.
It's amazing, right?
Yes. Half of them don't even know what the purpose of why they were there in the first place, if you ask them.
Yeah, well, you and I certainly don't know. I mean, I think women are doing pretty good in America.
I don't.
Last I checked, the majority of college students are women. Last I checked, the majority of law students are women. Last I checked, the majority of medical school students are women. It seems to me women are now beating the crap out of men. So why are women complaining? I have no idea. What were those women specifically complaining about? They have no idea. They're marching just for the sake of marching. It's hilarious. All right, John, I got a guest. I wanted to make sure we had you on. I appreciate you coming on. Start calling on a regular basis. Be a regular for me, John. Wayne Allen Roots with W.A.R. Now. We've got our guest now, Vicki Alger, Ph.D. National School Choice Week is the topic. She's a research fellow at the Independent Institute and an author of a book called Failure, The Federal Miseducation of America's Children. And miseducation is purposely, of course, spelt wrong. Education with a K instead of a C pretty much represents the spelling of the children in Las Vegas, Nevada, I'm sad to say. Vicki, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be on. Thank you.
So it's National School Choice Week, and tell me how school choice can ride to the rescue for all these poor kids whose futures are being damaged because they're forced to go to failing public schools.
Well, we shouldn't be surprised that when you have a captive audience, there's absolutely no incentive to do better, much less improve. And that's what we've seen for too many decades when we've been rationing public education based on where families can afford to live. I mean, quite frankly, You couldn't come up with a dopier way to decide where children are educated if you tried. But what we're seeing with parental choice in education is putting the real experts, children's parents, back in charge. You have schools that are responsive, that are innovative, that work with children where they are, take them where they need to be, and the results are so impressive. Decades after we've had the first not just public school but private parental choice programs, what we're seeing is that children from the most disadvantaged backgrounds have higher math and reading scores, higher high school graduation rates, higher college attendance rates, and higher four-year college graduation rates than their peers. And these programs cost just a fraction of what we're told we should be spending. So it's a win-win, most importantly, for students, their families, and also the taxpayer.
Yeah, I mean, in Nevada, we have this big battle. You're aware, I assume, of the big battle going on in Nevada?
About education savings accounts?
Yeah, ESAs and the vouchers, basically, for anyone who wants to send their kids to alternative school, whether it be Catholic or Jewish or Christian or private or charter school, any of the above. They allow you to take, I think it's like $5,000 a year, and use it any way you choose. And all you get is the same lame arguments from liberals who are protecting the teachers' unions. And the argument is always the same exact thing: is you're hurting the kids. You're hurting the kids in the public schools by allowing people to leave, by taking money away from the failing public schools, which are suddenly, in their minds, going to be better tomorrow if you put the money in, when in reality they have been failing forever and will continue to fail forever. What say you?
Oh, that's absolute baloney, and we have a huge empirical track record to prove it. Let's be real. We've been hearing this argument, as far as I can tell, since the 60s and 70s. We are now spending, as a country, well over half a trillion with a T dollars on public education, and you look at the proficiency rates, a majority of students who are not disadvantaged are not proficient in basic reading and math. So that is just unacceptable. Here's where we do have scientific research. First and foremost is that children, and the vast majority of parental choice programs are specifically tailored for children from low-income and disadvantaged backgrounds. You look at these children, and not only are they doing more at way less of a cost to the taxpayer, but here's one of the silliest arguments about harming public schools. First, if you don't have the child, you shouldn't have the cost. And I defy any proponent of that argument to say, well, we have to keep a child in a school that's not working for him or her, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to buy chalk and paper towels at bulk prices. That is absolutely unacceptable. Secondly, parental choice really is becoming the civil rights movement of our generation. There is absolutely no reason why most of these, left of center politicians and special interest proponents, most of them, by the way, are the beneficiaries of a private education. So they're big fans of choice for me, but not for thee.
Well, I think I've got the single best, or certainly one of the top 10 school choice stories in the entire United States of America ever in education, which is the fact that, and we're talking to Vicki Alger, by the way, PhD. She's the research fellow at Independent Institute and the author of a book called Failure, the Federal Miseducation of America's Children. So, Vicki, my daughter was homeschooled from the day she was born. She was motivated from the day she was born by me to go to only one of two schools. I told her every night before she went to bed, she heard the prayer that, someday you're going to make Daddy proud and go to Harvard or Stanford. And sure enough, she was accepted at both Harvard and Stanford as a homeschool kid. And wound up graduating magna cum laude from Harvard University 2 years ago, and is now getting her master's degree in economics in one of the finest universities in England. In the EU, at a full scholarship, full ride in the EU. And so she's one of the great examples ever of homeschool education. The first classroom of her entire life was at Harvard University. Never had been in a classroom in her entire life, and wound up graduating magna cum laude, top of her class from Harvard. Pretty amazing story, right?
That is outstanding, and it just makes my heart sing when I hear stories like that. And you know what's interesting for all the naysayers about, oh my goodness, if the quote unquote certified experts don't educate your children, they're going to be, fill in the parade of horribles. What's so fascinating is places like Harvard and Stanford universities actually actively recruit homeschool students. They have a special division within their admissions offices, because homeschooling students do so well. And it's across the board. It doesn't matter how much money parents make, what education levels, none of that matters. What the success of homeschooling shows is that when you tailor education to individual children's needs, everybody wins. So congratulations to you and your daughter. That's wonderful news.
Yeah, the things I say about teachers, by the way, I have both good and bad, and I kind of like to hear what you have to say, Vicki, about my thing. Number one, the good of teachers is it's not necessarily the teacher's fault. With certain exceptions, there are some bad teachers, just like there's bad everything, bad cops, bad firemen, but most are good. But most cops try, most teachers try. Most teachers are educated. Most teachers are good teachers. And it's not their fault. I think a kid who comes from a single-parent household where the one parent left doesn't give a damn has almost no chance, no matter how good a teacher is. It's the parents that are the key. If the parents don't care, no teacher can make a difference. So I'm not anti-teacher. As a matter of fact, my homeschool daughter that wound up at Harvard, and my son is now getting ready to apply to Stanford, and the same teacher taught them both, and she's a retired public school teacher from New York who happens to be retired in Las Vegas and has been my kid's teacher for 15 years now. So I like public school teachers. That's not the problem. But unfortunately, for better or worse, the bad news I have for teachers is the amount you pay them doesn't produce better results. It never has, and it never will. It's got nothing to do with anything. The worst performing kids in the country have to be in Washington, D.C., and the teachers there make huge money. They spend $20,000 per pupil. So is there any correlation at all between giving a teacher a raise and getting better education results?
Well, here's the thing. Money absolutely matters. You will never hear me saying that, money absolutely doesn't matter. But what matters as much, possibly a bit more, is how we are spending it. Are we surprised at all that we've got these great teachers out there, and like you said, there is a small minority, as with any other profession, that some people just aren't cut out to be teachers. They shouldn't be in the profession. However, those teachers are paid the same as your great, A-plus Teacher of the Year teacher. So that's our first problem. We're not directing resources to real talent. The second problem is that, I don't know about you, but I so often hear that the real problem, it's parents' fault that public education isn't doing better. Well, here's the thing. In far too many cases, parents are told to either be, parental involvement in education amounts to being a booster at the bake sale. If you're one of these teachers parents who comes in and wants to know, why their child isn't doing better, what are the assignments, asking questions, trying to be involved in that way, you become labeled a problem parent. So you can't have it both ways. What parental choice in any form, homeschooling, online learning, choosing your public district or charter school, I don't care where parents decide to send their children to school. But when you put parents in the driver's seat and they are empowered over their children's education, that's when you see a real improvement. And you see parents working with their children's educators, whether you're in a homeschooling co-op or you're working in a private school, public school, you see a better relationship. And here's something that's so exciting about education savings accounts. And my family and I live in Arizona. Nevada's ESA should be a model for the country. Imagine if parents were in charge of children's education dollars. Who do you think would be paid the most? Superintendents getting the six-figure salaries? No, your children's classroom teachers. So school choice and teacher choice go hand in hand, and school choice benefits students as well as teachers.
Yeah, listen, I want to make sure that I explain in detail what I meant a second ago. You said that money does matter, and I said money doesn't matter because every time in Nevada we give an extra $100 million, and last year we gave like $600 million to education. The results were negligible. There are no results. So where you and I agree, I think, is that money matters, but it doesn't matter if you pay everybody more or if the money goes to the people who aren't in the classroom, the supervisors. It matters if you reward the best teachers with more money and you fire the non-performing teachers. That's where money matters. The way they do it now, where they just scream, we need a blanket, $300 million extra, and everything will be okay, it never is okay, and it never does make a difference.
You're absolutely right, and that's what we're seeing. Name a state, we're seeing it again, and again. Because let's face it, it's easy to be for education, just be for more money. Nobody ever asked the question of more money for what? More money for whom? And that's what we as parents and taxpayers have to be more demanding, and don't let the other side just hijack this debate. If the money's not going for students specifically, for great teachers that are going to help them, then, we're not talking about the same thing.
So I assume your sum up, because we're going to an ad break, I assume the sum up of your book, Failure, The Federal Miseducation of America's Children by Vicki Alger, and we're on the line with Vicki. I assume your sum up is, what is the biggest single answer to help kids? And the answer is school choice, right?
Absolutely.
And it's not happening. It's just not happening on a nationwide basis. It's very rare that we get any school choice or vouchers passed. When we do, what always irks me, by the way, is the only time you ever pass vouchers is when you say, oh, it's only for poor children. Well, I think everybody needs it. That's why Nevada passed one that you said should be the model for the nation. Your income doesn't matter. You could be rich, you could be poor, you could be upper middle class, you could be middle class. Everyone deserves a better education.
I agree with you. And when we think of the hypocrisy that if we talk about vouchers and so forth for higher education students, everybody's for more. But when those 18-year-olds who are using public dollars for private schools, a couple of years later they become parents, then somehow Western civilization as we know it is going to end if those young people use vouchers or other scholarship programs for their school-age children. It's completely hypocritical.
All right. Thank you for being the guest on War Now, Vicki Alger. PhD,
well, thank you.
Research Fellow, Independent Institute, author of Failure, The Federal Miseducation of America's Children. Is there a website where people can find you, Vicki?
Yes, at www.independent.org. You can also find the book at Amazon.com.
All right. Vicki Alger, thanks for being on with Wayne Allyn Root.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
God bless. Wayne Allyn Root, War Now. When we get back, your call, 702-546-4790, 702-546-4790. Do you actually think this Republican governor who gave you the biggest tax increase in history has any interest in passing the education savings accounts? I don't. I don't think he gives a damn. If you're calling from Palm Springs, it's 844-263-8232. I think our governor means well, but he's a very moderate Democrat at best, and he doesn't really care about anything that is conservative, quote unquote. Wayne Allyn Root, War Now. All right, Wayne Allyn Root, War Now with my beloved Bon Jovi. Those liberal SOBs, but great singers. Love the band, but I hate their politics. All right, we've got Dana on line one. Dana wants to talk about Richard Spencer being assaulted. Tell me what you're even talking about, because I have no idea.
Oh, okay, Wayne. Let me just give you a little backstory on it. So I came across this because I follow Milo Yiannopoulos from time to time, and he's one of his crew, kind of. And it's on the New York Times website, and there is a live video of him getting punched in the head during an interview with an Australian news outlet. And the feedback when I saw it on Facebook absolutely just made my stomach turn. That everyone's saying this neo-Nazi, good thing he got punched in the head, and obviously all liberals who are supposed to be about peace and love and understanding. And I just found it to be the most disgusting thing, and I recommend you look into it because I think it's just showing the absolute hypocrisy from the left. And I mean, it's revolting. So
but Dana, here's what you have to fill me in on. Who is Richard Spencer? Am I supposed to know him? Because I don't even know the name.
Oh, yeah, Richard Spencer. They actually say that he coined the term the alt-right, and so I'm sure you're familiar with Breitbart
of course.
And Milo Yiannopoulos. He's in the. I wasn't super aware of him either, but he is apparently thick in that community. And there was also a shooting at Milo Yiannopoulos' one of his speeches that was not even really reported outside of alternative channels. So basically, they're using him as a figurehead just to say that he is disgusting because he has a different belief system. I also think from watching some of the information that came out from the deplorables and the acid being thrown, I think this is all just tying in to show how absolutely hypocritical the left is about only protecting their own speech, but they don't really actually believe in freedom of speech.
Right. Well, obviously, I'm always on the right side, and I'm always against the crazy, unhinged left. But this Richard Spencer guy, who I know nothing about, my understanding is he's some sort of a white nationalist, yeah?
Well, no, they paint him as being kind of in league with neo-Nazis, but he, from all the research I could do, he's pretty much in line with some of the other just general, conservative, alt-right people, which obviously are a little controversial, but I still think it's disgusting. I mean, I would encourage you just to look into it, because regardless of the situation, a person should not be punched in the head in public and have thousands of people saying that how great it is. I mean, frankly, I think that's disgusting, right, left, center, or anywhere.
Right. Agreed. 100%. All right. Thank you, Dana. We got Deplorable Gary, otherwise known as DG, on line 3. Hey, Gary, how are you?
Oh, so good that you're back. Oh, I missed you. I'm glad you're safe and you're back.
Thank you, Gary.
I try to make this fast. I'm from New York. I'm in a hurry. This dysfunctional educational system with the students and the people behind it is just like the healthcare system in this country. We are completely crazy here with everything. With lawyers, we have police officers going in school and arresting, little children and stuff like that. How could you be a teacher? My God. Oh, my God. I mean, it's so crazy. And you have all these kids with all these attitudes, and they know what their rights are, and they don't care about education. They want to grow up and be all these different things and go a different direction. That's what's wrong. We do need to have competition. Well, in my day, I noticed some of the kids, they went to Catholic school, they got a better education. And I'm old-fashioned now. I wasn't in the day, but I believe that you need to tell kids this is it. You're going to get a ruler on the backside. Shut the hell up. Be a student, and we don't need all these rules. We're a victim of how good the Constitution is.
Yeah, I agree. Funny enough, you've got the common sense there, Gary. You're right. I can't believe I'm saying this. Gary, you're right.
I mean, it makes us the greatest country, and yet we're a victim of our own success in a way because people are idiots. And I want to say one thing. You talked about John F. Kennedy in such a positive way the other day. And, by the way, I do love Laura Ingraham, too. What a woman. What a conservative woman. What a classy woman and a smart one. But I want to go to Steve Sanchez. I hate to say it up, but he's the one who says that President Kennedy only took $1 to be the president. And also, in PT 109, he was a war hero. He actually risked his life and swam back and saved some of these guys, not like his brother who was a coward and a drunk, Ted, I mean, Kennedy is something to be spoken about in a positive way.
He would be a Republican today, no question. A war hero, pro-military, staunchly anti-communist, pro-tax cuts, fighting Cuba and Castro. He would be a conservative today, no question about it.
I think you did more than write books. I think you read a lot of books because, you're a pretty smart guy, very insightful, and that's all I have to say for today. And thank God you're back, and I'm glad you are.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate you calling. Deplorable Gary, one of our regulars. I'm Wayne Allyn Root. The show is War Now, and this war has just begun, so stay tuned. All right, Wayne Allyn Root for Vogue Recovery Center. Vegas is a 24-hour city, as you know. There's a reason it's called Sin City. The temptations are everywhere. Drugs are everywhere. Alcohol's everywhere. Doctors overprescribe painkillers. Now marijuana is legal in Las Vegas. Add in gaming and sex. That's a 24/7 combination of temptations that leads to trouble, dependence, and addiction. Are you in trouble? Do you feel ashamed and powerless, a shadow of your former self? Is someone you love in trouble, a spouse, a great friend? How about your children? It's so easy to get in trouble. It doesn't make you a bad person. You cannot beat addiction or dependence alone. You need help. Vogue Recovery Center is Las Vegas's first and only luxury treatment program offering state-of-the-art care with Nevada's finest doctors, therapists, nurses, and specialists. With a whole-person approach, Vogue utilizes exercise, nutrition, psychotherapy, and plenty of comfort to bring change to your life and free you from substance abuse and dependence. Find out more by calling 702-275-3126. That's 702-275-3126. Or go to VogueRecoveryCenter.com. Vegas's first and only luxury treatment program, 702-275-3126. Or go to VogueRecoveryCenter.com. We have someone on one and two. Who's on two? What's the name of the person? What's the name of the person on two? So I'd rather take them first than the book guy. I don't know. All right, then I'll take the book guy first. All right. All right, Wayne Allyn War now. We've got John on line one. John, you're on with the Wayne Allyn. How can I help you?
Yeah, thank you, sir. I'm calling from Palm Springs. You're new here, kind of.
We are?
Well, to me.
No. I'm saying we are. I wasn't asking. No, we are. You're right. We are new.
Yeah.
We only started in late November. We are brand new to Palm Springs. And it's great to hear a Palm Springs caller. We have so many Vegas callers, but not enough from Palm Springs. So, John, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. I like your voice and like your ideas, and so does my cat. My cat writes books, and he has written many articles in the books that apply to what's going on nowadays.
Your cat, wait, your cat writes books?
My cat writes the books. I'm kind of his butler, and I do what he tells me to do, and it comes out strikingly well, yeah.
So you two are a team.
Writing,
it's just you and the cat. You two are a team.
Just me and the cat, yeah. I'm kind of his butler, and they're really smart people, and he's helped solves a lot of problems. Of course, cats lead pretty perfect lives, and he's just changed over some of his ideas to for us to read. And
is your cat a conservative or a liberal?
He does what is right. He can read minds, first of all. And when he does read a mind, if he needs to, he can switch it a little bit to go the way it should be, according to him. And he gets a lot of good work done, takes me along with him because I can get airplane tickets. He doesn't like to fool with that. And he does a lot of James Bond type work if he needs to. And, of course, he can communicate with any animal, any person, anybody, and can go forward or back in time.
Well, John, you got about 30 seconds to sum up what John's gone. John's gone. John, if your cat was really that good, he would have known you were about to be cut off. We got an ad break coming up, and we got to go. So enough of the cats and on to the politics. John, if your cat isn't a political cat, he may be a cool cat, but we talk politics on this show, so he'll have to wait. The cat will have to wait. I'm a dog guy, by the way. Just want to make sure you know that. My dog eats cats. Just wanted you to know that. Wayne Allyn, War Now. When we get back, more calls, 702-546-4790. In Palm Springs, 844-263-8232. I'm your middle-class warrior, relentless freedom fighter, capitalist evangelist, conservative rock star, and all-around badass, Wayne Allyn. This battle has just begun. All right, Wayne Allyn, War Now. You're a middle-class warrior, relentless freedom fighter, capitalist evangelist, conservative rock star, and all-around badass. How's that for a mouthful? This show is sponsored by Swiss America, the gold standard, the number one precious metals company in America. Contact Swiss America at 800-BUY-COIN, 800-BUY-COIN, or go to SwissAmerica.com. All right, lots of wild things happening today, as usual. Lots of great things happening. If you weren't with me in the first hour, I just got back from the inauguration. I was there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Came back Saturday night late. Great football Sunday yesterday. You know, you wouldn't believe how hard it is to pick two games and go 2-0. You know, I mean, basically the life of a professional sports handicapper, of which I have many hats in life. I'm a politician and a political commentator and a media personality and a author and a speechwriter and a speaker and you name it, a spokesman, radio host, TV producer. But I am still a professional sports handicapper, and I still have literally thousands of clients at my website, winningedge.com. And to be a great handicapper, you win 57% of the time, which means pretty much every week you give two big plays. You go 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1. And people go, what's the big deal about this guy? He's 1-1 every week. Then you go 2-0, 2-0 2 weeks in a row. Then you go 1-1, 1-1, 1-1. Then you actually have an 0-2. Then you go 1-1, 1-1. Then you go 2-0, 2-0. Those few 2-0s make your entire year and put you in rarefied air as one of the best sports handicappers in the world. And yesterday was one of those 2-0 days. I had the New England Patriots as a small play. I had a giant play on the Atlanta Falcons. I won them both. And my two teams are now in the Super Bowl. Of course, I'm the biggest Dallas Cowboy fan in the world. So my team, my personal favorite, is not in the Super Bowl. But the two teams I bet on and who I believed, after analyzing the games, would win big, both won big, just dominated, just destroyed their opponents. And they're now facing each other in the Super Bowl 2 weeks from basically yesterday. So that should be fun. That's the sports angle. The politics angle is just back from the inauguration. I had a great time, once-in-a-lifetime memories. I was there for Trump swearing in, just feet away. I was there at the Liberty Ball, just feet away when Donald Trump had his first dance with Melania as president and first lady. I had a chance to spend some time with Newt and John Voight, Angelina's dad, Angelina Jolie, Alex Jones, the famous talk show host, Roger Stone, the raconteur, kind of a crazy man of politics, Laura Ingraham. I was on her national show on Friday, live in studio in Washington, D.C. Had a great time with all. And all of those photos are at Facebook, my Facebook page, so just go there, or Twitter. Facebook or Twitter, look for Wayne Root. Some things going on in the news today. Trump freezes federal hiring. My God, this man is the greatest. I got to go back in history and look up, has anyone ever done that before? I don't know if Reagan even did it. I don't think George W. Bush ever did it. People talk a big game, but no one but Trump ever does anything about it. Donald Trump signed an order withdrawing from the Trans-Pacific Partnership and establishing a federal hiring freeze. That's unbelievable. That is truly unbelievable. That is thrilling. That is so important. Thrilling. Because I think government employees are the most expensive thing in the world, costing us a fortune. TPP was a nightmare. He got us out of it. Fantastic. You are the best, Donald. You are truly the best. Here's something I caught on the internet that I thought was interesting. Nobody has ever been more desperate for attention on the internet than this chick. This is in the New York Post today. The fight to become the biggest internet sensation is getting more and more extreme. From staging a fake kidnap for a prank video to filming an undercover sleepover in the White House bathroom, there isn't anything that YouTubers won't do for views. And now a new video from popular vlogger, I guess instead of blogger, they call themselves vloggers. Vlogger Lena Nerzian has left her viewers speechless. The popular online personality says she'll be making a sex tape with fellow YouTuber Adam22 if she reaches 1 million subscribers. It's no surprise that fans were sent into a frenzy when they watched her recent channel upload. That's an interesting word, upload, when you're talking about sex. This chick is an uploader. Lena said, you may or may not have heard, I'm planning on making a sex tape when I hit 1 million subscribers. She added, I've been approached to do porn multiple times in the last year. You know, that's kind of interesting. I think it's pretty easy to go through your whole life and never be approached to do porn. Who the bleep has been approached to do porn multiple times in the last year? I don't want to do porn, but a sex tape with someone I'm seeing and totally comfortable having sex with, that sounds cool to me. If you want to see me get effed, then you should subscribe to my channel. This has led to many questioning whether or not the whole scheme is merely a stunt for publicity. You think? Since the controversial video was uploaded, she's gained over 60,000 new subscribers. Almost 500,000 viewers have tuned in to watch her video, which she has titled Sex Tape at 1 Mil. I mean, these are sick people. And this is our new generation. I look at the picture of her. She's kind of a hot, sexy girl, but she's like maybe 18 or 19 years old, very young. And she actually thinks this is how you get subscribers as a vlogger, a vlogger. I don't know, however they pronounce it. I guess a vlogger. If you're a blogger, she's a vlogger. She's a YouTube on video blogger, in other words. And they actually think that's how you get subscribers. And, you know, it is pretty easy in life. That's how you get jobs. That's how you make money. That's how you find rich sugar daddy men. You just spread your legs and you get what you want for a little while. Then you get old and used up and you wind up, pumping gas at the age of 90 with a lot of wrinkles and everybody laughing at you. There's no future in having sex so that people tune into your YouTube channel. What a moron. But this is America today. I guarantee you this was an Obama voter. I guarantee you this was a Hillary voter. I guarantee you she hates Trump. And I guarantee you, I absolutely triple guarantee you, that she was at one of the women's protests or at least made a comment online on her vlog about how great the women's protests are and said something really stupid about women power or P-power. I could just picture her with that sign. This is the kind of moron feminists. Can you imagine using the term feminist? Because you believe in women, and women are strong, and women have power, and then you offer your vagina to make a living. Okay? That's how you get people to sign up as subscribers. Wow, you're talented. Wow, you beat Wayne Root. Yesterday, I only had a few hundred people, but you had 60,000 because you've offered to have sex live on camera. Wow, that's really smart. That's really feminist. Oh, man. What a country we live in. What a world we live in. All right, back to Trump signing the executive order withdrawing the U.S. from the TPP trade deal. Making good on a campaign promise, President Trump signed an executive order withdrawing the United States from the controversial TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal. He also signed a measure imposing a federal employee hiring freeze, exempting the military and law enforcement, and another measure reinstating a ban on taxpayer-funded groups pushing abortion services in foreign countries. The TPP, a giant semi-secret 12-member free trade agreement advocated by the Obama administration, that's when you get the first hint that we have to get out of it. That is bad because it was advocated by the Obama administration. Was there anything Obama ever advocated that was good for America or the middle class or middle class jobs? Ever? Ever? No, never. Nothing he advocated was good for middle class people. Everything he advocated was for stealing from the rich and the middle class and giving it, redistributing it to poor people who vote Democrat. That's it. It's all Obama ever did. So you know the TPP was a giant redistribution scam. That's what it was. He claimed it aimed to deepen economic ties between the U.S. and 11 other Pacific Rim nations. Cut taxes. Yeah, Obama is a big tax cutter. And foster trade to boost economic growth in the process. By the way, this brings me to a whole other tangent that has nothing to do with this article at all. But Obama, as I've been saying for 8 years, hates Israel and is a Jew hater. And you go, why would you say that, Wayne? Well, first of all, the Iran Treaty. Second of all, the censure of Israel at the very end of Obama's second term, in his last days in office. He allowed the United Nations to censure Israel. Terrible setback for Israel. And there are many who claim they have proof that he didn't just allow it, didn't just abstain and let them go forward with the censure, but he orchestrated it. There were thousands of signs that he's very, 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 very bend over backwards Muslim sympathizer. But how about his last appointment on his last days in office? On his third to last day in office, he appointed a guy to the Holocaust Commission, which oversees the United States National Holocaust Museum, named Ben Rhodes. And it's a 5-year term, and he appointed Ben Rhodes. Ben Rhodes is the architect of the Iran deal, and his job was selling the Iran deal to the American people, a deal that could lead one day to the entire annihilation of Israel and the Israelis, another Holocaust, a deal that bends over backwards to give Iran everything they wanted in the whole world, and in a negotiation, quote unquote. Donald Trump and me laugh at things like this. I've negotiated deals my entire life. I am a master negotiator, and I'm just a small businessman. Donald Trump's a billionaire, big businessman, and he's negotiated deals his whole life, and he always gets his way. And I got to tell you, for a small businessman, I always get my way. I'm pretty damn good. And I always come up with a creative solution to every problem in a negotiation. But I always get something in return. And only Obama would negotiate a deal where he got nothing for the United States, nothing. Gave up $150 billion plus interest when the people on the other end of the table weren't asking for interest. And he gave them the interest on the $150 billion over the last 20 years, which God knows must have, been like $50 billion. So $150 billion became $200 billion hand back to Iran, a terrorist nation that we all knew from the moment we heard the deal was going to use the money to spread terrorism all around the world and kill Jews and kill Americans. And that's Obama's deal. Well, Ben Rhodes was the guy who sold that deal. His job was to sell it to the American public. He's the salesman in the Obama administration. And Ben Rhodes not only sold that deal, but he was involved in selling the censure of Israel at the United Nations to the American people. Wait a minute, we're not done yet. He was involved in the Cuba deal that was just agreed to, which basically says that we do not have the right to extradite from Cuba to the United States violent criminals that they're holding. And so one of them is a Black Panther who killed a police officer who's hiding in Cuba. And she does not have to be turned over now because of the deal Ben Rhodes negotiated. But that makes him a radical liberal. It's the Iran deal and the censure at the United Nations that bother me. That makes him a radical Jew hater and a radical anti-Israel guy. And he named him, Obama, in the last days in office, his third to last day, to the Holocaust Commission. Can you imagine if a guy hated black people and did something horrible that could destroy black people in the future, and I, as president, named him to a commission for black people, to help black people, involving an African-American museum, the most symbolic museum in America for black people in the civil rights movement. And I named someone on that commission who was white and didn't believe in civil rights and was actually hurtful to black people and hateful to black people. Can you imagine if I named that? Well, Obama named a Jew named Ben Rhodes who hates his own people, who helped design and sell the Iran deal and package it all, and did the same thing with the censure of Israel at the United Nations. What a thumb in the face, what a middle finger, what a screw you in his final days in office. What an F you in his final days in office to the Jewish people in Israel. Ben Rhodes. Brought to you by courtesy of Barack Obama. Barack Hussein Obama. Never forget that middle name. You know how Democrats would roll their eyes and act like you were racist if you used the middle name? Isn't that his middle name? I call myself Wayne Allyn Root. Is it a sin to call me Wayne Allyn Root? He is Barack Hussein Obama. That's his name. Why should I shy away from saying it? Oh, because it's an insinuation he's a Muslim. Well, you know what, folks? If your middle name's Hussein, the odds are pretty good the person who named you is a Muslim. So I guess his parents were Muslims. And I don't know what that makes him, but I know it makes him a major, major bend over backwards Muslim sympathizer. I know that. I know he was raised in Muslim Indonesia, and I know in that country he went to school, and you can't go to school in Indonesia without swearing that you are, in fact, a Muslim, and renounce your prior country, the United States, renounce the Christian religion, and swear allegiance to Islam. Unbelievable that this guy gets to name someone to the Holocaust Commission and name someone who is an enemy of Israel. I mean, that just is the icing on the cake for Barack Obama. The icing on the cake. All right, we'll take a break. I'm Wayne Allyn Root. Trump is signing executive orders withdrawing us from TPP and freezing the hiring of federal employees. Obama was busy at the same time naming a guy who hates Israel, a Jew hater, a Jew, a self-hating Jew, to the Holocaust Commission. I'm Wayne Allyn Root. War now. There is a stark difference. That explains it all, what's happened in this country for the last 8 years. Miserable, Israel-hating, Muslim-sympathizing Barack Obama is gone. It's an Obama-free America. Thank God. And now Trump needs to step in as president and ask Ben Rhodes to resign. See, I'm the president, and I'm in charge of the Holocaust Commission, and I demand that you step down. He could put on his resume he was on the Holocaust Commission. He'll only serve for a week. Trump has to get rid of Ben Rhodes immediately. What a snub of the Jewish people to allow that incredible loser to be on the Holocaust Commission. Wayne Allyn Root, War Now. All right, Wayne Allyn Root, always looking for adventure. War Now, 790 Talk Now in Las Vegas, 98.1 FM in Palm Springs, and many more cities to come. We're going national. We'll be announcing national syndication in a few days. We've got our guest, David Horowitz, on the line, and the topic is Trump's first 100 days. He's got a new book out. David's a New York Times best-selling author. He's not new to this show. We've had him on a couple times before. Big Agenda, President Trump's Plan to Save America is his new book, and it reveals major components of his first 100 days plan and first-term agenda. David, welcome to War Now. Wayne Allyn, how are you?
Thanks, Wayne.
So tell me about your book and tell me about Trump's agenda. Where do the two intersect, by the way?
Well, I think the most important thing to understand about Trump is that he's broken the mold. This is going to be I hate to use the word revolutionary, but it's going to be an earthquake. And the reason is what Trump has done. Let's look at the context in which he was elected. Republicans won in a record majority the House in 2010 and an even bigger one in 2014. The House has the purse strings. Aside from impeachment, it's the only check on the executive power, on the president, on Obama. And they pledged when they were elected to stop Obama, to repeal Obamacare and his other programs. And yet when they won, they did nothing. They didn't deny him a dime for his programs. They didn't use the check. Why is that? Because they were scared. They didn't want to be. The Democrats are very good at calling in names that can destroy you. They didn't want to be called obstructionists. They didn't want to be called racist. They didn't want to be called sexist. They didn't want to be called Islamophobes. That stopped them with any opposing any Obama program. And look at Trump. He comes in those debates. He says to Hillary's face, "You're a crook and a liar." There's no Republican in Christendom who would do that except Donald Trump. And so what he's done is, by not being intimidated by the politically correct shield that the Democrats have, I mean, just think about that one with Hillary. Here she is running. She's supposed to be a strong woman. She's going to be the first woman president. Don't denigrate her by doubting all that. Yet she needs to be protected by the chivalrous shield, by the deference that is shown to women still in our society, except for Trump. So what Trump has done is he's burst that bubble and showed that you can just move forward and do things. So he comes to office, and right at the outset, he starts fulfilling his promises. Today, he ended federally funded abortions. He's ended hiring in the government because we want to shrink the government, and he's got rid of Obama's chief economic program, the TPP trade program. So he's shown Republicans that you can defy the lightning and survive.
Yeah,
that is huge.
Yeah,
nobody's mentioning that.
And by the way, David, I must say, you said there's nobody that would ever do that but Donald Trump, be in their face and tell them to go to hell and do what needs to be done. But I think Donald Trump and Wayne Root and David Horowitz are all people that would do that. I'm sure. I'm confident you would do it, and I would do it.
With all due respect, Wayne, we didn't have anything like the platform that he had. We're not risking what he risked.
Right, no question.
He was being told, everybody said, you can't win, you can't win the nomination.
You're going to blow up your empire. You'll blow up your entire business empire, right? No question.
So he is changing the Republican Party as we speak. The other thing I like about him, I love the inaugural address. That what the left is about is creating an America in which there are racial, gender, and sexual orientation hierarchies, where if you have the right color of your skin, you can get put to the head of the line for a job or for admissions to a college or many other things that we know about. And Republicans, while they understand that this is terrible, they're cowards when it comes. They don't know how to fight it. It's very anti-American, this idea that we're judged by our race, gender, and class. The American idea is individual freedom, that everybody judged on his merits or her merits. everybody, regardless of race, color, or creed. We don't care what your origins are. We don't care what your race is. We're going to judge you as an individual. And look what Trump did in the inaugural. I don't think anybody noticed, but there it was. He said, whether you're black or brown or white, we all have the same color blood. It's patriot red. When we're loyal to our country, we're loyal to each other. And he said, when you open your heart to patriotism, there's no room for prejudice. So he has restored the culture of America, which the left has spent 30 years trying to, and pretty successfully, destroy. So I think he's a visionary, although he does it all by instinct. I mean, he's not a philosophical person. That's upset only inside the Beltway. Never Trump or conservatives. He doesn't use their words, and he doesn't make the right genuflections.
Hey, we're on. I just want to make sure everybody knows we're on with David Horowitz. His new book is called The Big Agenda: President Trump's Plan to Save America. And David, I would ask you, what is the big agenda you think in the first 100 days? What do you think is going to be his order of importance to get done?
He's going to do exactly what he said. His key things are jobs. He's already doing that with the trade. He wants to renegotiate the trade agreements. Security. He's going to rebuild the military. He's appointed or selected two very tough Marine generals to be in his key spots. He's going to start building the border wall and securing the borders. You can count on him, and he's going to repeal Obamacare. And Obamacare is a threat because it takes away individual freedom, although Republicans never said that. That is, it's the government tells you what your health care package is. The government tells you who your doctor is. The government tells you what your plan is. That's terrible. And they want to increase that government control by making it a single-payer system. We came very close, to a socialist nightmare in this election. But Trump, not only has he said he's opposed to that, but he's doing it. And he's doing it on day one and day two of his presidency.
Right. No question about it. I mean, my biggest fear, David, was, I was constantly on Fox News over the last 8 years, and I was under massive IRS attack. And the same government that could sick the IRS on you and try and destroy my life. And they literally tried to destroy my life and cost me $100,000 in legal fees and lots of lost nights of sleep. And who knows how many days of my life by the end of my life were wiped out by worry and stress over this massive IRS attack on my life. That same government could tell you, hey, by the way, you got cancer. We're going to be very slow in paying your insurance company and your doctors,
right.
And you're dead.
Or they
right?
tell you can't get the treatments.
Right.
It was horrific. But, of course, Republicans only know how to talk about budgets. I mean, those are important things. Yes, it costs too much and so forth, and it eliminated competition. But the basic thing was individual freedom. This book I've written, it's called Big Agenda, President Trump's Plan to Save America. It's already an Amazon bestseller. And what it is a manual for how to fight the next 4 years. Because just as they try to destroy you, you can see they're trying to destroy Trump every day. And he's disciplined the press. I mean, I think it's so great. He was criticized by people for taking on the press, but that's perfect. You have to do that.
Right.
The press is, I mean, if you spend any time in Washington with Republicans, they're all looking over their shoulders at the Washington Post and the New York Times and the networks. And that intimidates them. And it's this intimidation that has so frustrated conservatives over the years.
All right.
So all that's changing.
David, is there anything I'd like to ask? Last question. Is there anything in your book that you recommend for Donald Trump that maybe is not on his radar? Anything that should be a top priority?
I'll give you something that I had something to do with putting on his radar. There's a chapter called The Achilles Heel of the Democratic Party. And what it is, as you know, the Democrats' chief weapon is to call you a racist. But their Achilles heel is the fact that they are the racist party, not only because they want to put these racial categories into everything, but because they control, this is their Achilles heel, all the big inner cities of America, all the killing fields, Chicago, Detroit, Philadelphia, St. Louis. They're responsible for the welfare programs that condemn people to lifetime dependencies. They're responsible for the schools that don't teach, public schools that don't teach the kids the basics, where 40% drop out before they graduate, and 40% who graduate are functionally illiterate and will never get a shot at the American dream. And he had, and I mean, this was sort of buried in the campaign, but he came up with a $130 billion voucher program, which is exactly what I suggested to him. $130 billion that would give each inner city child a $12,000 voucher, $12,000 being the average that a public school education costs taxpayers that doesn't teach them. If he does that, well, he will do that. I have no question. That's part of his New Deal for the inner city. He will blow up the Democratic base. If Republicans get 25% of the black vote, Democrats can't win a national election.
Correct.
Period.
And I'll give you a companion to that. I love your idea, and I think it's great that Donald adopted it. And I'm about to. I have a nice pipeline and email to Donald Trump all the time, and I'm about to suggest to him that he's got to make a priority federal voter ID. You want to destroy the Democrats and rip their hearts out? Then you got to adopt Mexico's plans. You know, in Mexico, you can't vote without federal voter ID that includes your photo and your thumbprint. That's what we need in America. If it's good enough for Mexico and Mexican voters, and you cannot vote without the thumbprint and the photo, then why wouldn't that be good enough for America? Right here where I am, David, where Nevada seems like it's 100% red Republican. Everyone I know is a Republican. 10, 20,000 people at all the Trump events, and then he loses by a small amount of votes because in Latino areas, they were lined up by the tens of thousands to vote, and nobody ever asked them, are you a citizen? Nor did they ask them, are you actually legally allowed to vote? You're not allowed to ask here.
I'm sure he's going to adopt your plan.
Yes, that's very important. Yours is very important.
This is the first time one can have confidence in a Republican leader.
Yes.
And he's going to do what he says.
And I have confidence in David Horowitz, a fellow Jewish boy from Columbia University like me. His new book is called Big Agenda, President Trump's Plan to Save America. And you go, David. I hope it's a big bestseller. Good luck, and God bless to you. Thank you for coming on War Now, the Wayne Allyn Root Show.
Thank you.
All right, Wayne Allyn Root, when we get back, we'll have your call, 702-546-4790. No more guests this hour, just you and me, 702-546-4790. In California, 844-263-8232. All right, on the topic of unhinged callers, unhinged liberal protesters, Alaska Airlines had to kick a woman off a flight for harassing a Trump supporter. The airline removed the woman after several complaints from passengers. Tensions ran high on a Saturday flight from Baltimore to Seattle when a woman asked her neighbor if he had been in town to celebrate or protest Donald Trump's inauguration. According to the passenger, Steve Koteski said, "I came here to celebrate democracy, ma'am," was met with a barrage of insults that led her to be later removed from the plane by airport police. After the initial question, Koteski began filming the interaction on his phone. According to the video, he told flight attendants his seatmate called me names, insulted me for sitting down in the seat, saying I came here to celebrate today. Allegedly, the woman called Koteski a bigot, threatened to throw up on him. Lovely. She later told the flight attendant she wanted the Trump supporter to move. The flight attendant responded, "You don't have that right." When another flight attendant came to bring the offending passenger and her husband, who was seated in the aisle, off the plane and back down the jetway, she refused. "I paid for the seat. I'm sitting in it. He's in my space." Before Alaska Airlines escorted her off the flight along with airport police. They called her a disruptive passenger and said she was removed. Thank goodness. They were refunded for their flight, but not rebooked on another flight with the airline. Alaska Airlines did a good job. I'm very proud of them. Very proud. That's fantastic. I like that. All right. On the topic of Donald Trump, what a terrible person he is, and how awful it is that he's now president of the United States. Any liberal would tell you how awful it is. Foxconn CEO says their investment for a display plant in the USA will exceed $7 billion. What a terrible president Donald Trump is. He's bringing billions of dollars and millions of jobs back to the United States. Foxconn, the world's largest contract electronics maker, is setting up a display-making plant in the United States in an investment that would exceed $7 billion, said their CEO. The plan comes after, oh, what a surprise, U.S. President Donald Trump pledged to put America first in his inauguration speech, prompting the CEO, Terry Gao, to warn about the rise of protectionism and a trend for politics to underpin economic development. But see, he complains about it, but then it forces him to go ahead and do it and create jobs and invest billions in the United States. So their proposal is to build a display plant, which would be planned with, which would depend on many factors such as investment conditions that would be negotiated at the state and federal levels. They've been considering such a move, but the issue came up when Foxconn business partner Masayoshi Son, head of Japan's SoftBank, talked to Gao before a December meeting Son had with Trump. And as a result of that meeting between Son and Trump, Son pledged $50 billion of investment in the USA and inadvertently disclosed information showing Foxconn's logo and an unspecified additional $7 billion investment. Son is a good friend, he added. Go added. Son had asked for his views about investing in the USA. Go said Son. He told Son the United States has no panel-making industry, but it is the second largest market for televisions. An investment for a display plant would exceed $7 billion and create 30,000 to 50,000 jobs. Foxconn is one of the biggest employers in China, where it operates factories that churn out most of Apple Incorporated's phones. So there you have it. Liberals protest Donald Trump. Liberals say he's a terrible guy, and he's bringing billions of dollars back to the USA. He's dragging millions of jobs back to the USA. All of them, I guess, with liberal CEOs who are globalists who hate having to bring them back to the USA and complain every step of the way and badmouth Donald Trump. But, hey, it works. Who cares what they think of you? What did a mafia leader once said? Would you rather be loved or feared? I'd rather be feared every time, he said. That's what I say. Donald Trump is not going to be loved, but Donald Trump will be feared, and America will benefit. So will you. Millions of middle-class jobs created. Wayne Allyn. War now. The war is underway, but the battle, that's just begun, and we're going to win it. War now. Wayne Allyn for Vogue Recovery Center. Vogue is a new recovery center in this town, and this town, Vegas, is, of course, as you know, a difficult town. It's a 24-hour town. Vegas never sleeps. There's a reason it's called Sin City. The temptations are everywhere. Drugs are everywhere. Alcohol's everywhere. Doctors overprescribe painkillers, and now even marijuana is legal. Add in gaming and sex. That's a 24/7 combination of temptations that lead to trouble, dependence, and addiction. Are you in trouble? Do you feel ashamed and powerless, a shadow of your former self? Is someone you love in trouble? A spouse, a great friend, even your children? It's so easy to get in trouble. It doesn't make you a bad person. You cannot beat addiction or dependence by yourself. You need help. Vogue Recovery Center in Las Vegas. It's the first and only luxury treatment program in this city, offering state-of-the-art care with Nevada's finest doctors, therapists, nurses, and specialists. With a whole-person approach, Vogue utilizes exercise, nutrition, psychotherapy, and plenty of comfort to bring change to your life and free you from addiction and substance dependence. Find out more by calling 702-275-3126. That's 702-275-3126, or go to VogueRecoveryCenter.com. So when you cut that commercial tomorrow, permanent one, use the first one, not the second one. I stumbled a bit on the second one. First one was perfect. Usually it's the other way around. First one was absolutely perfect. All right, Wayne Allyn Root, W.A.R. now. We've got Brady on line one. We're taking calls. Brady, you're on with W.A.R. Brady, you're on. Where are you, buddy?
How you doing, bud?
Good. How are you?
Doing fine, thanks. I wanted to bring up, I think in 2009, the EPA classified CO2, basically what we expel as humans, as a pollutant. And now that you're really close with the Trumpster, I thought you could pass along this question. Can you please take CO2 off the list as a pollutant? And this would help our business across the whole U.S. because how many thousands of jobs have been reduced and eliminated because that was classified as a pollutant.
Brady, I don't think you have to lose any sleep over this one. You do realize that in the first hour after Trump took office, 1 hour after his swearing in, the website had already, the White House website, the official one, had already removed all references to climate change. Gone. I mean, it's amazing how anybody gets things done the way Trump gets them done. The press makes it out like he's an incompetent, he's an idiot. How does he, within an hour of swearing in, while he's putting his hand on the Bible and becoming president of the United States, he must have people who are internet whizzes working 24 hours a day getting ready for all this. They were ready to switch in the new website, take out the old one, and scrub all references to climate change. I don't know anyone gets things done that quick, but man, he's better than even I thought. He is a can-do president, and climate change ain't going to be our priority anymore, folks.
Well, I agree. I think that's wonderful because, like, right now, I think California is 250% above snowpack levels, and we're only 1 month into the year. So I haven't heard too many people on the other side come out and say, oh, my God, we're into a flooding situation, which is going to be I haven't heard one person come out and say that that's happening. Also, I wanted to bring up one thing that I did hear on the news this weekend regarding California and the school system. They want to introduce a bill to the students so they have in their classroom stating that the reason that Donald Trump won was because of Russian hacking in the election. They want that taught in our classrooms.
What
they
a
have
joke.
a bill passed.
What a
crazy. I just thought that was absolutely ridiculous. He might want to stop that also because these people are absolutely wacko. And this coastal party, that's the Democrats, basically New York and California, we should just basically CC these people and get them out of the 48 other states.
Yeah, I mean, I wish California would secede. I only wish they're successful in the liberal attempt to secede. But, of course, it's only a threat. They'll never really do it because liberals can't live without conservatives because we make all the money. So California would sink and be bankrupt tomorrow if it was left to just die on its own. They could not survive. There's not enough tax money in the world that would pay for California's gigantic pensions and California's welfare bill, leading the nation in welfare, leading the nation in food stamps, leading the nation in government checks, leading the nation in every category that's bad. Pensions over $100,000 a year, government employee salaries, you name it. They couldn't survive without the conservative business class that makes all the money in this country and pays all the taxes and creates all the jobs. And by the way, Brady, it's not just California that's been flooded with massive rain, but also don't forget on the global warming climate change front. Am I crazy? I've lived in Vegas 15 years. I've never seen anything even close to the amount of cloudy and rainy days for the last 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, it's been almost 2 months in a row. Starting on December 1st, the sun's never been out, and there's been a lot of rain. And so I don't know why they talk about drought in California or here, because all it seems to do is Seattle-like weather around here for the last 2 months. So I don't see any global warming. Do you see any warm December, January days? It's freezing out there. No idea what these people are talking about.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to bring up now, this is the third year now with these scientists revealing to us that the Earth is hotter than ever, we're going to burn up. The one thing they failed to realize within the last 3 years is that the 5 Great Lakes that we have on our northern border there, they've all frozen over. Almost 2 out of the 3 last year. So, I mean, if we're going to a period of global warming, why are the Great Lakes freezing over for the first time in hundreds of years?
Well, you do know that scientists a year ago that were, investigating climate change and global warming, and they said absolutely positively it's happening. They were on a boat, a ship that got stuck in the middle of the ice in Antarctica. So as they were crying climate change and global warming, their ship was cut in the thickest ice anyone had seen in decades. Kind of ironic, kind of funny, and kind of apropos, don't you think?
Yeah, you got to remember last week it was 87 below in Russia.
Yeah, well, look, global warming's a farce. We all know it's a farce. And we know that it's caused by solar flares. It's caused by heat from the ocean. It's, it's something that's happened for thousands of years. I believe completely in climate change because climate changes. And so it's not man-made. There was massive, every time you hear on the news, coldest day or hottest day since 1867. Coldest day since records have been kept. Coldest or hottest day since 1900. Well, there was no climate change then. There was no global warming then. So how do you explain that in early 1900 or late 1800s or the early 1800s was the last time there was a day this cold or this hot? Back then, was it caused by man? Who was it caused by? So this has been going on since the beginning of time. Climate does change. Sometimes it's hotter. Sometimes it's colder. But the idea of global warming is a gigantic farce. The idea that man's responsible is a gigantic farce. But more importantly, even if man was responsible, Russia, China, India, Brazil would just keep belching and belching pollution out. And so there's nothing we could do here except kill all our jobs. Wayne Allyn Root, news break. We get back. More guests, more calls. Jared Weiss, Weiss's Wisdom. War now. War now. War now. All right, what is war good for? Everything. Wayne Allyn Root, the middle-class warrior, relentless freedom fighter, capitalist evangelist, conservative rock star, and all-around badass. And I'm here for you today in the 5 o'clock hour. Hope you enjoyed the 4 o'clock hour and you heard the wonderful stories, folksy, emotional stories about Frank Barker, who just died yesterday. Super cop, former captain and deputy chief of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I had his brother-in-law, Hollis Barnhart, one of my best friends in the world for 25 years, in here to talk about Frank and his life and his legacy. Great guy. Who am I? I'm a warrior for God, guns, gold, tax cuts, term limits, and Trump. And I probably should add in the police, because I'm one of the great fighters on behalf of the thin blue line in this country. No one loves and respects and understands the value of police more than I do. So thank you for your service to this city and this country, Frank Barker. But God, guns, gold, tax cuts, term limits, and Trump is how we save America, capitalism, and American exceptionalism. My books, The Power of Relentless and Angry White Male, both available at Amazon.com. And anytime you buy those books and want Wayne Root to sign them, all you do is call the station. And at our call-in number, when I'm on the air, 702-546-4790, and let us know when you want to come by. I'll come in early any day to meet you to sign those books, The Power of Relentless and Angry White Male. My website is rootforamerica.com. All my opinions on video. Register for free at rootforamerica.com right now. Call-in phone number, 702-546-4790. If you're in California, it's 844-263-8232. Many ways to enjoy the show. You can listen online at 790talknow.com. Listen live online, 790talknow.com anytime, or listen to the shows you missed at my YouTube channel, War Now Radio. Go to YouTube and go to War Now Radio. This show is sponsored by Swiss America, the gold standard, the #1 precious metals company in America. Contact Swiss America at 800-BUY-COIN, 800-BUY, B-U-Y, coin, or go to SwissAmerica.com. All right, time for the world-famous Root Rant. Some of the things going on in the world today that bother me or that I'm excited about and that make me feel good. It's kind of a combination today. First of all, Democrats are morons. You heard me mention this in the first hour. The DNC chair candidates were bashing white people in a racially charged forum. It's funny when they say racially charged. It sounds like, it's blacks against whites. No, the only thing Democrats do is bash whites. They don't like whites. They don't support whites. They don't encourage whites. Everything is about bashing white people. It's all Democrats care about. Bashing white people when they're not talking about climate change and global warming. They're just mentally imbalanced when they're not talking about how unfair it is that rich people have money. So that's the bashing on my part. The negativity is the DNC chair candidates bashing white people and saying white people really have no right to do anything but shut up and sit down. Angry number 2 is the Gold Star family members who were assaulted during the inaugural ball festivities. I was not at the military ball, otherwise known as the Veterans Inaugural Ball. I was at the Liberty Ball, but veteran families were at the Veterans Inaugural Ball, and They were treated horribly. Amy Looney, who lost her husband, Navy SEAL, Lieutenant Brendan Looney, in 2010. I can't even hear the word Navy SEAL without, like, clicking my heels, standing up straight, and saluting. My God, bravest people in the world. My heroes. And Ryan Mannion, whose brother, Marine First Lieutenant Travis Mannion, died in 2007. So 2 relatives of people who died in battle said they were attacked as they tried to enter the American Legion's tribute to Medal of Honor recipients at the Veterans Inaugural Ball. As we got there, we found ourselves separated from the rest of the group. Walking to the gallows that night, we're caught in between the entrance to the event and 75 protesters that got very angry with us and converged on us. We were pushed by a man in a mask hiding his face, Mannion wrote. Our clothes were drawn on with permanent marker by other protesters. We were called the most vile names I've ever heard as we entered and exited the venue. Mannion said she and Looney, who operate the Travis Mannion Foundation, did not attend the ball for political reasons, that the pair support Donald Trump just as they supported the previous administration, just like we will support every future administration that the American people elect. Looney and Mannion were initially late to the ball because they couldn't get through an angry mob in the street that was burning trash cans and smashing windows. When they eventually got near the entrance, a group of around 75 people tried separating them from the ball. It was as the 2 women walked through the crowd, the people began pushing them and yelling insults. Keep in mind, again, they lost their loved ones fighting for this country. The alleged events Friday night followed rioting and destruction earlier in the day by so-called protesters upset by Trump's election. Trash cans were set ablaze, merchants' windows smashed, limousine torched. To witness this act, to see, I hate to even refer to it as protesting, because it was an accelerated version of that, to say the least, was really hard when we tried to instill unity versus creating more division. So that's something to make you mad. And then here's one more to make you mad. The U.S. sent $221 million of your tax money, not the U.S., Obama, who was still the U.S. president at that time, sent $221 million to Palestinians in Obama's last hours. Folks, you know what's that old joke? A million here and a million there, and eventually it turns into real money? $221 million to Palestinians who hate Americans, hate Jews, and want to burn Israel and push every Jew into the sea and murder us all. And I say us because I am Jewish. Officials say the Obama administration, in its waning hours, defied Republican opposition and quietly released $221 million to the Palestinian Authority that GOP members of Congress had been blocking. By the way, how do you even do that? If the GOP Congress is blocking it, how do you just go around them? This is not a king. This country's not a monarchy. You can't just overrule what Congress wants. A State Department official and several congressional aides said the outgoing administration formally notified Congress it would spend the money Friday morning. The official said former Secretary of State John Kerry had informed some lawmakers of the move shortly before he left the State Department for the last time Thursday. The aide said written notification dated January 20th. That was the day, Friday, of the inauguration. It was sent to Congress hours before Trump took the oath of office. In addition to the $221 million for the Palestinians, the Obama administration told Congress it was going ahead with the release of another $6 million in foreign affairs spending, including $4 million for climate. See, there we go. Crazy, loony climate change. Liberals for climate change programs and $1.25 million for UN organizations. Congress had initially approved the Palestinian funding in budget year 2015, but at least 2 GOP lawmakers, Ed Royce of California, whose office I was in, whose party I attended on Capitol Hill on Thursday, the 19th of January. I was in Ed Royce's office. I spent some time with Ed. You'll see a photo of him and I on my Facebook page and my Twitter page. So Ed Royce and Kay Granger of Texas had placed holds on it over moves the Palestinian Authority had taken to seek membership in the international organizations. Congressional holds are generally respected by the executive branch, but are not legally binding after funds have been allocated. The Obama administration had for some time been pressing for the release of the money for the Palestinian Authority. The $1.25 for UN agencies is to be used as voluntary contributions to the UN Peacebuilding Fund. The UN Special Coordinator on Improving the UN response to sexual exploitation fund, the Montreal Protocol Secretariat, which oversees the protection of the ozone layer, the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. You can imagine what they're made up of, what kind of liberal scum lawyers are on the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, and the UN System Staff College. I wouldn't give any of them a dime. I'd throw a penny on the ground and make them lick the sidewalk to get it. That's how I feel about the UN. Screw them. Anything I say screw, Obama loves. Obama loves to screw what I hate, to put it another way. The $4 million for climate programs includes assistance for clean energy. Yeah, exactly. The crap that bankrupts the nation and doesn't work. Sustainable landscapes, more BS. Cutting greenhouse gas emissions, more BS. And creating a climate technology center, more bullspit. The last-minute allocation contained $1.05 million funding for the State Department's Special Representative for Afghanistan and Pakistan and the Bureau of South and Central Asia Affairs. Everything in life I can't stand. Barack Obama funded in the last hours. The Palestinian funding is likely to draw anger from some in Congress as well as the Trump White House. Trump vowed to be a strong supporter of Israel and has invited Benjamin Netanyahu to visit Washington next month. What a surprise. Trump loves Israel. As my Jewish relatives say, Trump's a Nazi. Trump loves Israel. Obama loves Muslims. Jews in America love Obama. Make any sense? Of course not. Makes no sense at all. It's the most absurd crap I've ever heard in my life. Wake up, Jews. Are you all blind, deaf, and dumb? When it comes to politics, you are. When it comes to business, you're smart. When it comes to relationships, you're smart. When it comes to family, you're smart. But boy, when it comes to politics, my fellow Jews have their head up there, you know what. Trump has also pledged to move the U.S. Embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Despite speculation in Israel that an announcement of the move is imminent, Spicer said the decision-making process is only in its very early stages. But boy, if he does that, can you imagine? Can you imagine the response from the Muslim world? Oh my gosh. All right, other things we'll talk about the rest of this hour. The new White House website is English only. God, I love Donald Trump. God, I love you, Donald. In a straight man kind of way. If a straight man can love another straight man, I love Donald Trump. He just does everything right. Everything I would do. No mas. No mas. The Obama website is gone. It gave up like Roberto Duran. No more. I give up. Trump's the hero. Trump's the winner. Trump's the champion. No mas. No more Hispanic website. And I also heard no more Muslim prayers in the White House. And the Churchill bust is back. And Trump signs executive orders renegotiating Keystone and Dakota Access pipelines. And in California, a record number of Californians support secession. Goodbye. Get lost. Good riddance. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. Losers. Get rid of California. Please leave. Oh, my God, would this be a great country without California? Let it be a country. Let it sink. It'll be the first bankrupt nation since Zimbabwe. And Greece. No, Greece is up there. Zimbabwe and Greece that need constant handouts to survive. California will be the third country that needs handouts to survive. Please leave. Good riddance. God bless. Here's the door, California. We don't want you anymore. Please leave. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have a great guest, and then we'll take your call. 702-546-4790, Wayne Allyn Root. The battle's just begun. Even though this is a great war, a Wayne Allyn Root war, the battle's just begun, and we're going to win it. Be right back. All right. One of the things I have not had a chance to mention yet, and we'll get to it later in this hour, or if I never get to it, we'll get to it tomorrow on tomorrow's show. But in his last hours in office, Obama issued a massive ammunition ban on federal land, stopping people from hunting. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. You can't believe what a bad, bad, bad person Barack Obama is. But, man, he is bad to the bone. Bad to the bone. We've got a guest who is good to the bone. His name is Andy Gause. He's been on the show before. His topic is Trump's billionaire brain trust. He's one of America's foremost experts on America's monetary system and the history of U.S. currency. He is the president of STL Numismatics. Great guy, Andy Gause. Welcome to the Wayne Allyn Root Show. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
He's also the author, by the way, The Secret World of Money. That's his book, The Secret World of Money. And so several Trump appointments have served as Goldman Sachs executives. You know, I love everyone Trump appointed, Andy, except for the Goldman Sachs executives. And they worry, your sample question says their presence worries some Trump supporters. Well, I'm a smart guy. I'm not just a Trump supporter. I'm a media expert, and I'm in the media myself, and they worry me. I don't like Goldman Sachs people, and I thought that Trump would keep them out of his administration, but they don't seem like bad Goldman Sachs people. One of them, Mnuchin? I think that's how you pronounce it, Steven Mnuchin. He announced that he's for the gold standards. That'd be great. So maybe he's not a bad Goldman Sachs guy. You tell me.
Well, the bad Goldman Sachs guys seem to never leave Goldman Sachs, that's for sure. I know that you remember when, you don't remember, but if you study history, the crash of 1929 gave us all kinds of new government regulations, and the first was the Securities and Exchange Commission. We think they've been around forever, but the SEC really only started in 1934 after all of the hearings in Congress revealed what they had been doing. And so Roosevelt looked around. He's like, who am I going to pick to head the SEC? And then he thinks Joe Kennedy. Well,
who's the biggest crook of all time?
Right. He was the number one market manipulator, knew every trick, had every consortium and every pool in his pocket. And so Morgenthau, who was Secretary of the Treasury, said to Roosevelt, are you out of your mind? This guy's a nut. You're putting a crook in charge. He said, well, who better to catch crooks than another crook? And when I think of Mnuchin, I think he knows where all the bodies are buried at Goldman Sachs and what they do and how they do it. And if he could stop them from taking the federal government for a ride on its bonding issues, I heard him talking about 70-year debt. Can you imagine the Treasury issue like a perpetual bond, a 70-year bond? These clowns, forgive me, they're gone now, that were in charge, they took the nation's debt and put 60% of it on a 5-year maturity or less.
Wow.
Can you imagine running your business like that where 60% of your long-term debt is due and payable in 5 years? That's insane.
Well, especially when almost every expert on record thinks that interest rates are going dramatically up now and have nowhere else to go but up. Yeah. That means in 5 years you're going to pay much, much higher rates. That's crazy.
Well, but you can save money if everybody took their mortgage and put it on a 5-year note with a 30-year payout and a balloon at the end of 5 years. Hey, you get a lower interest rate, but boy, how do you sleep at night knowing at the end of 5 years you have to refinance the entire mortgage or lose the house?
Right.
In our case, what are we going to lose the country? So anyway, the Obama administration saw fit to issue these short-term 1, 2, and 5-year notes to fund our national debt, and fully 60% of it is due and payable, essentially, in Mr. Trump's first term.
And you mentioned, Andy, we're talking to Andy Gause, by the way, and you mentioned that Trump has an idea, or Mnuchin has an idea, maybe to renegotiate all of it to 70-year terms. I mean, when you talk about how does anyone sleep at night if they have a 5-year mortgage, well, I would sleep really well at night with a 70-year mortgage. So if that's the idea, then that's a pretty brilliant idea, right?
I think it is. So, Mnuchin is that brilliant kind of guy. And he worked inside Goldman Sachs. He knows all the tricks. There's nothing that can get by him. And I wouldn't mind a former Goldman guy working for me. And that's essentially what we have now. Our Secretary of the Treasury is a former Goldman guy that is trusted, apparently, by Donald Trump. Plus, I love his movies, Mad Max. And
Sully, I believe Sully.
That's right.
I was just watching Sully the other day, and all of a sudden it says produced by Steve Mnuchin. I was like, what? You got to be kidding me.
Yeah. And that's a tough business. So if he's managed to keep his head afloat, and he foreclosed on a bunch of people with his One West stuff. So he's done bad stuff, he's done good stuff, and now he's our Secretary of the Treasury designee. So I am, of course, very familiar with Goldman Sachs, dating all the way back to 1869, the founding of that firm. And they were one of the primary owners of the Federal Reserve. I understand the criticism, but I'm not going to condemn this guy just because he used to work there. And if you think that's bad, though, hey, consider this. You know where he worked after that?
Where?
He worked for George Soros.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
You put those two together, and he's making a lot of people nervous. But I would give him a chance, because if he starts out by putting the government's debt, or the people's debt, really, on a sound footing. I mean, we have $20 trillion in bonded debt, and another 38 to 40 in unfunded or unbonded liabilities. Everything from pensions to borrowed money from the G fund to all those trust funds that they robbed.
And you may be,
Andy,
you may be on the low side. I mean, I hear a lot of people I respect saying we have between 100 and 200 trillion in unfunded debt. So I don't know, where those numbers come from.
If you put in contingent liabilities, like if you throw in all the co-signed forgive me, everything that we've co-signed, the Export-Import Bank, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, HUD, that number's well over 200 trillion. But that assumes every mortgage goes bad, every export-import deal goes bad, everything goes bad.
Well, it could. It could happen.
That's right.
We could be
everybody would be in the same boat. The entire system would then be a smoldering heap, and only gold and silver coins would be money. So maybe it's better.
Well, if we ever went BK, why couldn't a country go BK? I mean, Argentina went BK. If you just went BK and said we're not going to pay any of it back, we don't owe anything tomorrow, we're wiping it clean. The only people you'd wipe out would be the Goldman Sachs of the world. They'd get wiped out, right?
No, unfortunately, no. See, this is the dirty little secret, is that there's 170 separate trust funds for various things. Your Social Security Trust Fund has nearly $3 trillion in it. But guess what? It's all IOUs. So if we were to not pay, not only would the Social Security Fund be bankrupt and the government fund would be bankrupt, all the retirement plans for the military, everybody, they took all that money. 170 trust funds have been looted, and the money has been spent on compassionate social services. So we have to pay that back, or all of those trust funds are unable to continue. And just Social Security alone, we own $3.2 trillion.
All right, so if we went BK, Social Security checks would stop coming, is what you're telling me.
That's right, unfortunately. And so would any other retirement check that's backed by the government.
Couldn't there be a negotiation, though? Couldn't you negotiate that we're going to bankrupt China, we're not going to pay you, we're going to blow you off, we're going to bankrupt Goldman Sachs, we're going to blow you off, we're going to bankrupt Japan, we're going to blow you off, but we're going to pay 50 cents on the dollar to Social Security and 40 cents on the dollar to government employee, federal employee pensions. Couldn't you negotiate a deal like that?
Well, that's a start. I mean, if you add in Japan, we owe them $1 trillion. We owe China $1 trillion and change. We owe the other oil-producing nations another $500 billion. So that's a good start. But when you drill down into the nuts and bolts, the Federal Reserve is holding $2 trillion worth of U.S. debt.
All right, so screw them. Let them go too. Who cares? Right?
I'm all in favor of this. If we convert from Federal Reserve notes, which are the Goldman Sachs of the world, right? They're their notes.
Right.
We convert from Federal Reserve notes to U.S. notes. Now, that's what Kennedy did in '63. I don't know, anybody that was around then may remember these things. They came around for a minute. They were red, and they said across the top, instead of Federal Reserve note, U.S. note. Now, those things, you could issue those in quantity equal and identical to the Federal Reserve notes, and then say to the people, bring in your Federal Reserve notes, we're cashing them in for U.S. notes, hand all those Federal Reserve notes to the Fed, take back our Treasury bonds, and then tell them to go screw. Because, now we've paid our debt. Here's your Federal Reserve notes back. We've replaced them with U.S. notes. And then all funding from the Treasury should emit from the Treasury, for goodness sakes. Why do we issue a bond and then give it to the Federal Reserve? They print the money and give it to us at interest. Why don't we just print the money ourselves? So if Trump gets into the nuts and bolts of that with Mnuchin's help, I think it'll be the best thing America ever saw, ever since Jackson.
All right, I hope so. Remember that movie, Catch Me If You Can? I don't remember the name of the character in that movie. I can't remember, but whoever that character was.
Abagnale.
Yeah, Abagnale. Frank Abagnale was eventually hired by the FBI to be the guy who teaches about white-collar crime. And so maybe Mnuchin's the perfect guy to be Treasury Secretary, It's definitely unusual.
Catch crooks.
Only Donald Trump could you be watching a movie and the name comes up, executive produced by the guy who's now your Treasury Secretary. How bizarre is that? I mean, that's pretty wild. A couple more questions, then we're running to ad break because we got to pay our bills. But
sure.
In your opinion, should Trump rethink any of his cabinet appointments? Anybody you would rethink?
Comey, I wouldn't leave him at the FBI.
No,
He's like
I wouldn't
a little
either.
Girl.
You're right. I wouldn't either. It just came out today that he's asking him to stay, and I wouldn't ask him to stay. But see, they didn't say he's asking him to stay permanently. They said for the time being until they come up with another choice. So that could be a short-term stay. So let's hope.
Yeah, until next Tuesday. That would be good. Yeah.
So where do you see the Dow and interest rates and the national debt around 2020 after Trump's first term?
Well, I think the pizza pie is going to stay essentially the same, but we're going to cut it into smaller slices. So I see inflation, I see a bigger Dow, I see higher interest rates, higher gold, higher silver, higher housing prices, and a robust, booming economy. You know, that's the thing. We can all stand a little inflation. It's that the stagflation would kill us. We need a robust economy. You know, I really believe that Mr. Obama and his advisors kept farming, fishing, mining, and manufacturing in check so as to control the inflation that they knew would be released with a full employment economy. So I don't think it was an accident that we've had a sluggish 8 years, and I think Mr. Trump's just going to throw caution to the wind and let the engine run full speed for a term or two. I think we could stand it, that's for sure.
Well, from your lips to God's ears, my Yiddish grandmother used to say, and I hope you're right, because I didn't hear anything you said that I would not love. In other words, I'd love a robust economy, good for all my businesses and my careers.
Yep.
I'd love a stock market that's up. I'd love my house prices going dramatically up. I'd love gold to go dramatically up. And I'd like a little bit of inflation because that's good for seniors to get interest on their bank accounts. So everybody wins with all that, right?
Almost, yeah. The debtors certainly benefit because they're going to pay back their debts with dollars that are worth substantially less. But there's only one category that's hurt,
which is
if you look at the Federal Reserve's metric MZM, which is money with a zero maturity. In other words, nobody owes it to me. It's mine. It's parked in my bank account. I can get it tomorrow. Has a zero maturity. That number's $14 trillion. For the last 7 years, Americans have doubled the amount of money that they have just sitting. And those folks will suffer. If you're a saver, if you have cash accounts, cash in the bank, not a lot of assets, but a lot of cash, you're going to suffer. And if you have municipal bonds and treasury bonds and CDs and all those financial instruments that will wither in the face of higher interest rates, especially if your maturities are long. If you're sitting in municipal bonds or 30-year debt or Disney 40-year bonds, you're in trouble. As interest rates rise, principal values will fall. So those are the only people that'll get hurt in this scenario.
Well, then
guys with cash.
Andy, I'm the big winner. Wayne Root hits the jackpot. I spend more than I make.
Right.
I spend everything I make and then some. I make lots of money and I spend lots of money. I've got lots of gold. I've got lots of homes with lots of equity in those homes. And I've got lots of businesses that would do well in a robust economy. So I win on every single level. I own no bonds, none, zero. So I win on every level.
You're excellent. I bet if I said to you, hey, Wayne, I'll loan you $1 billion on a 30-year payout at 6%, you'd probably take the money, wouldn't you, Wayne?
I'd probably take it. I would. I'd grab it. it. Are you offering, Andy? Because I'm in the market. Are you offering?
Oh no, man! I'm kind of taking the same deal. You know, I'll pay a little more for interest. For me, leverage is key, and whoever creates the money first is going to get the best use out of it. So if you can leverage, as you mentioned, real estate, art, antiques, gold, automobiles, anything you can get your hands on that's tangible, physical, very few in supply, increasing demand, you're going to see a profit scheme over the next decade. That's for sure.
All right, Andy Gause. Is there a website where people can reach you?
Oh, yeah, Andy Gause, GAUSE.com. You want to hear criticism of the Fed and monetary policy, it's all up there. I also have 3 audio CDs that I'll fling to your listeners, Wayne, if they'll mention the magic words, Wayne Allyn Root. Call 800-468-2646, and I'll send you my 3 CDs, which is the Federal Reserve, which is all about it, the definition of money, what the heck is a dollar, and protecting your wealth, how to take common sense steps to live through this inflation. And again, just call 800-468-2646 and mention Wayne so you don't get charged for them. Nobody will ask for a credit card. We'll ship it free.
All right. I love what's on the way. I love everything you're predicting. So let's hope from your lips to God's ears. Andrew Gause. Andy, great to have you on.
Thank you, Wayne.
Wayne Allyn Root, worn out. We shall return with your call, 702-546-4790 in California, 844-263-8232. We'll leave you with a little Hawaii 5-0. All right, Wayne Allyn Roots. I hope Andy Gauze is right because those are some great things happening. If Donald Trump can pull this off, man. I've been telling everyone. I mean, I'm a soothsayer because I didn't know any of that. All I knew is I've been told everyone before Trump was ever elected that if Donald Trump wins, it's going to be the 8th greatest year since Ronald Reagan. And all of us in the business world are going to get rich. And we're going to make all our money in the next 8 years. And then I'm going to be, let's say I'm 55. Say at 8, I'll be 63. And then I'm going to retire and be done for the rest of my life. This should be the last 8 to 10 years of my effective business career. Thank God if Hillary had won, would have been 8 miserable, horrible death years with no money to be made because these people are so dumb. You know, I was just thinking the other day, I was thinking about writing a commentary why there was no good music at the Donald Trump inauguration. And the reason why is because no artists would allow themselves to appear there or even let their music be played there. Okay? There were actually cover songs at an inauguration. The first dance of the president was to Frank Sinatra's My Way, and My Way was a cover band. It wasn't My Way by Frank Sinatra. It was sung by a lousy singer. Talk about bad entertainment. Now, you may wonder, why is Wayne criticizing Donald Trump's inauguration? Because Donald Trump couldn't get a single decent artist to appear at his inauguration. Do you know why he couldn't get a single artist? Because artists are morons. They could be the greatest performer in the world. You know, the greatest. But it doesn't matter. They don't know how to make money. They don't know what to do with money. They don't know how to run a business. Bon Jovi's one of my favorite groups, top 5. They don't know how to run a business. They've got business managers. They've got managers. They've got agents. They've got accountants. They've got law firms. They've got probably wealth experts who teach them what to do with their money. And they have nothing to do with their own money. Those people all vote Republican. But the artists know nothing about money. So why don't they stick to what they know? And people like them have been running the country. They love Obama. They loved Hillary. They loved our Treasury Secretary under Obama. These are all morons who know nothing about money. So you want to stay away from anything they know. Just like the opposite is true. Wayne Root and Donald Trump, no one would pay to hear us sing. We got lousy voices. No one would pay to watch us dance. It was clear from watching the first dance that Donald Trump will make a great president but a lousy dancer. I don't know how to dance. I got no soul. I'm white. White people can't dance. White people can't jump. And politicians can't sing. But liberals don't know anything about money. So yes, there was no great entertainment at Donald Trump's inauguration. But that's because the people who stayed away are the greatest performers in America. They're great at performing, but they cannot manage a country or an economy. Al Pacino doesn't know anything about running a business. Robert De Niro can't run a business. George Clooney can't run a business. Sean Penn can't run a business. Beyonce can't run a business. That's why they weren't at the inauguration. Artists don't belong making choices about who should run an economy. They know nothing about it. All right, we got line 2. Anthony is on the line. Anthony is on. Anthony, you're on with Wayne Allyn Root. W.A.R, how are you?
Yeah, hi, Wayne. Anthony from Taxifornia. Before I get to my main point, I follow you on Twitter. I get all your notifications and a lot of stuff that Wayne talks about. You can get it first when he tweets, because a lot of the stuff. By the way, Wayne, on Twitter, Ed Royce. I saw your picture with Ed Royce. Ed Royce is a superstar in California, and he is going to be a superstar in the federal government. I love, you know how you love Donald Trump? I love Ed Royce. And to see two of my favorite guys, Wayne Root and Ed Royce, that was such an awesome picture, by the way.
And by the way, you love Ed Royce. You ought to love Ed Stoltz, by the way, because Ed Stoltz, that reminded me, owns this station, and he opened the California station that you're listening on, 98.1 FM in Palm Springs and the whole Coachella Valley, Rancho Mirage and Indian Wells and et cetera, et cetera. Without Ed Royce, there is no station to listen to Wayne Root in California, and there is no 790 here in Las Vegas. So thank you, Ed Stoltz. So Ed Royce and Ed Stoltz are both great heroes.
Awesome. Hey, Wayne, I thought I knew a lot. I live in California. I lived here almost all my life. And I found out today, wow, this is really unbelievable. I found out today that the federal government has given a waiver to California over the last, whatever it is, 30, 40 years, so that California can run their fuel in their cars however they want. And what I mean by that is the standards that they're setting for the cars and for fuel on the cars and the smog tests that they do in California, it's all a waiver that they got by the federal government. And guess who is thinking about that? Trump's new nominee, the former Attorney General of Oklahoma. His name slips my mind right now.
Scott Pruitt.
Scott Pruitt is thinking about what he's going to do. If he ends this, Wayne, I got to tell people in Nevada this. We have a bunch of lazy bums that go to meetings like once a month for these things called the carbon air board emissions and there's hundreds of them, Wayne, hundreds of them, because of all these regulations that they're getting from fuel and from the cars and from the smog test, and they make like over $100,000 a year to go to these meetings like once a month. I cannot wait if Scott Pruitt comes here and he ends that waiver and all these bums are thrown out in the gutter where they belong.
I'm with you. Thank you. We have a person with common sense in California, Anthony, who's called it a few times now. He's our number one California caller, Anthony. We like you. You're the Frank and JD of California. And Gary, of course. And we've got Gary on the line, but we're not going to take him yet. Don't grab him. We need to go to an ad break. When we get back from the ad break, we'll take Gary, we'll take Moisha, 2 regular callers, and then we'll be done for the day, and we'll see you on Wednesday. We'll call it a day. Wayne Allyn Root, a couple more calls to come. You know they'll be good ones. War now. All right, Wayne Allyn Root back again. And we're not good without Donald Trump. We're not good with Barack Obama. We wouldn't have been good with Hillary Clinton, but you're good with Wayne Root. You got a war on your hands. Trump signs executive orders, putting Keystone and Dakota back in the pipeline, excuse the pun. His new White House website begins with English only. Got rid of all the Spanish language content. Trump orders media blackout at the EPA, bans the use of social media, and bars new contracts at the Environmental Protection Agency. My God, my God, my God, I love this man. But wait, here's the new exclusive out seconds ago. Trump expected to sign executive orders on immigration tomorrow. Are you ready? Are you holding your breath? Donald Trump expected to sign several executive orders restricting immigration from Syria and 6 other Middle Eastern or African countries. God bless Donald Trump. God is with us. What do I want to say here? Allah Akbar? God is good. Allah Akbar. In addition to Syria, Trump's orders are expected to restrict access to the United States for most refugees. It gets better. Another order will block visas from being issued from Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. The restrictions on refugees are likely to include a multi-month ban on admissions from all countries until the State Department and the Department of Homeland Security can make the vetting process more rigorous. I couldn't keep up with how many bad things Obama was doing on a weekly basis. It was making my head spin. Now I can't keep up with how many good things Donald Trump is doing. And can you imagine how dumb a liberal would have to be to get mad at what I just read? Oh, my God, we're restricting visas. How terrible. How terrible. Obama's former big shot chief counsel at the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, that guy says from a legal standpoint, it would be exactly within his legal rights. He's now a professor, by the way, at Washington University School of Law in St. Louis. Of course he is. But from a policy standpoint, it would be terrible because there's such an urgent humanitarian need right now for refugees. Really? What's the urgent need? It's not our need, America First need. It's the refugees' need. I don't need to help them. I don't need them in my country. We don't need them. Let's ask my friends in Vegas. Do you want them? Do you need them? Do you want to pay welfare for them? Do you want to pay food stamps for them? Do you want them to go to school with your kids? No. No, you don't. You know what? Liberals don't either. Because the liberals who say they do, your kids go to private schools. Your kids aren't in those schools. Your kids don't go to inner city schools or middle class neighborhoods where these kids are sent. Your kids are in rich schools and private schools and Christian schools and Jewish schools like the Sheldon Adelson School. They don't take refugees. So who are you to stuff them down the throats of good middle class Americans? Let's take deplorable Gary on line 1. DG. What's up, DG?
Hey, Wayne.
Quickly.
Yes, everyone saw the limousine that the protesters burnt up and everything. But last night at 1 o'clock, I heard on a radio station, on this good station here, not as good as you, but they say the man was a Muslim and he wasn't even a Trump supporter. Okay? They burnt the limousine. They sent him back. That was his livelihood. And he doesn't even know if he has riot insurance for this thing. This is not fake news.
You need riot insurance on your. If you have car insurance on your car and it gets burned, you need riot insurance. I never even knew that. That's unbelievable.
Do you remember the controversy about flood insurance?
Yes. I do.
They thought they were covered, and the insurance company said, no, well, you have house insurance, but not a flood insurance. The man sent back $70,000. He's not even a Trump supporter. He's a Muslim, and he had to go to the hospital trying to defend himself and his limousine, and it's not on the news. It's nowhere.
All right, Gary, we got to go, buddy. We got to go. It's the end of the show. Gary, it's the end of the show, buddy. I'm sorry to cut you off. We love our deplorable Gary. For now, I'm going to call him Adorable Gary. He's not Deplorable Gary. He's Adorable Gary. And the phones are ringing again, and the lines are filled. I'm sorry. We got to go. The show's over. Call back tomorrow. We want to hear from you tomorrow. Call early tomorrow. Janelle and Moisha and Gary, call early at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Wayne Allyn, 1 out.